another important motion, that is the locomotion in birds. First of all, birds, we know that there are two ways in which birds move. First is by walking and other is by flying. These are the two ways in which bird moves from one place to another. There are some other birds which also swim, right? When we talk about the birds that are locomote from one place to another, these are the birds, basically those are flightless, right? So flightless birds like ostrich, like kiwi, they actually run. So ostrich is one of the fastest running bird that is there. Similarly, kiwi also. Other birds also, like a pigeon, crows, you must have seen these birds walk for some time, and then many a times when you put food outside, they fly and they walk to the food, right? Other birds like your ducks and swans, you will find that they are swimming. But these animals also, these birds also, that is the ducks, they can also fly, right? So these are the three ways in which the birds locomote from one place to the other. The major portion of the birds population is the one which can fly easily. So we are going to talk about the features that help these birds to fly. Now, what are the features which help them to fly? First of all, they have a streamlined body. Now, what do you understand by a streamlined body? This kind of body is a streamlined body where the head is pointed and in the middle it is broad over here like this, and again the rear part is again pointed. This type of structure is also seen in fishes. Why? Because this helps in the movement of air and water past their body, right? So they do not give any kind of resistance to the air and water, and thus it facilitates or it makes it easier for the birds and the fishes to move through the air. Then the body, like I said, is well suited for flying. That's why they are very light. How they are light? For example, when we talk about human beings, we know that we have bones that are completely solid. That means these bones are heavy. Whereas on the other hand, if we talk about the birds, so birds have bones that are hollow, and that is the reason why it makes them lightweight, right? So the hollow bones are light in weight, and they also help in the whole body weight of the birds to become lighter overall, right? Now, the bones of the hind limbs. So there are total 4 limbs. 2 are modified as wings, and the hind limbs are the ones which you will find in pigeons also, the ones which they use to walk. So these hind limbs, the bones are quite strong, and they are made up in such a way as to walk on ground and to perch. Perch means that if there are branch, so the bird is able to hold the branch, right? So in this way, there are 2 types of the limbs that are there. This is the hind limb, which help the birds to walk and to perch on the branch, right? So it helps in walking, and that's the reason why they are made in such a way. And the muscles also help, the bones and muscles help them in the same. The next is the wing part, that is the front limb, which are modified as limbs. These are, the wings are very strong, but they are light. The reason again is to allow the bird to fly easily, right? That's why they are comparatively light. The wings are covered with feathers. Again, these feathers help in flying during these feathers help in the motion of flying. They have, because of the movement of the wings that is taking place, so they have powerful chest muscles which help them in flapping their wings during the flight. Also, it helps them to keep them in flight. So the powerful breast bones and breast muscles help them in maintaining the flight during the air, right? And also it helps them to move or flap their wings. So these are certain modifications that we see in the birds which allow them or makes them, they help them in making a good flight, right? Now, another activity which we are going to do is with the help of a paper boat. Now, what you are going to do is make a paper boat like this, and anywhere near a puddle or in a tub where there is water, what you are going to do is, first you are going to put the boat in such a way that it is flowing in this direction. That means the pointed part you should push the pointed part forward, and what you want is to move it forward from the pointed part. Another thing which you will do is that you will place the boat and push it in this part. What you are trying to do is you are trying to move the boat in this way. So what do you observe? Whether this is easy to move or this. So you will observe that this is comparatively easier to move. The reason is the streamlined position. So you can see this is a streamlined body where the ends are pointed, whereas the middle part is broad, and that is why it is easier for it to move along the pointed parts rather than the broad part, right? Similar kind of structure you will find in a fish as well, right? So in fish, again, the movement is quite easy to understand. Again, first thing is, how do the fish move? The very first part is the streamlined body, right? This streamlined body helps the fish to move easily in the water, right? So over here you can see how the fish has a body which the ends are pointed and the rear and the middle part is broad, right? So streamlined body is seen in fishes as well as in your birds, which help them in moving in air, and in the case of fish, in water, right? So now let's understand how exactly the movement takes place. Now, as you can see, again, the head and the tail portion is smaller than the middle part, and that's why the body is known as the streamlined body. Now, how does this movement of the fish takes place? Now, as you see that in this diagram, we can observe the movement. Over here, you will see that first, whichever direction the fish wants to move, what it will do is, first of all, it will bend its head portion, right? It will bend its head portion in one direction and tail in the other direction, right? So this movement which is happening is with the muscles, right? So fishes also have a lot of muscles in their body, and with the coordination and the movement of muscles, they are able to move their body, right? So how does this happen? Now let's look at the way in which the fishes move. First of all, the muscles of the head part of the body moves them in one direction, whereas the tail moves in the opposite direction. This forms a curve-like structure, right? It forms a curve. Now immediately in the very next step, what happens is that the body of the head moves in the other direction and tail moves in the opposite direction. So first, suppose it goes in the right direction, the head goes in the right and tail goes in the left, and in the very next moment the tail goes in the right direction and the head goes in the left direction, right? So again it happens, this immediate movement or change in the direction of head and tail creates a jerk, right? And this jerk actually helps in the movement of the body of the fish forward. Now understand, this kind of movement is happening one after the other, and it is a very quick movement that one time the head is going to one side and the tail is going to another, and in the very next second the opposite direction. This creates a series of jerks which pushes the body of the fish forward. Apart from these muscles which help them in the movement, the tail also helps. It helps in the direction, and also it helps in the swimming. Apart from that, fishes also have the fins, right? And these fins also help to keep the balance of body in water. Apart from that, they also assist in swimming. So in this way we see how the body of fish moves, or how the fishes swim in the water. once we've understood the locomotion in fish, let's understand how the locomotion in snakes take place. Now, as you can see, the body of the snake is also a very streamlined body. Apart from that, the snakes also have a lot of muscles in their body. Now, these snakes do not have any limbs. When we were talking about the fish, it was in water, whereas the snake is a terrestrial animal, right? So when we are thinking about how do the snakes move on the terrestrial environment, very first thing that we need to understand is the snake's body is made up of a lot of muscles and it has a long backbone. These muscles that we are talking about are actually joined with this backbone, which helps in the movement of a snake by contraction and relaxation of the muscles, right? So these muscles which are present in the body of the snake are interconnected from long bones, from the backbone to ribs and skin, right? So when we talk about the backbone of the snake, it looks something like this, right? So as you can see, these are the ribs, and in between there are muscles which are interconnected to the ribs, and they are connected to the snake's skin, right? And this is how the movement of the snake takes place with the help of these muscles, ribs and skin. How does the snake move forward? Let's understand that. All of you must have seen, maybe not in real life, but on television, and as you can see over here also, the body of the snake, while it's moving, forms a S-like structure, right? And how does this help in the movement? Let's understand that. Now, as you can see over here in this diagram, you can see that the snake's body, while movement, makes a lot of loops, right? Or curves, right? So over here you can see that there is one curve and then there is another, and then this, right? In this way you can see how the snake's body is forming so many curves. What is the reason of the curve? Let's understand that. First of all, each curve gives the snake a forward push. Now, in the fishes, we saw that when the fish's head went this side, the legs went, or the tail part went this side. So you can see there are only two curves which allow the forward movement of the fish. But in the case of snake, you can see that this part also is a curve, and over here also the body of the snake is forming a curve. Now, how does this push takes place? Is that wherever you can see these blue spots, here is the pressure that is applied by the muscles, right? And this pressure helps in the forward movement of the snake. While movement, you will be able to see over here also, if you observe the video carefully, you will be able to see not all the parts of the snake's body are in touch with the ground. There are only certain parts where the snake actually puts pressure, which allows it to move forward. So over here it is indicated by this blue region where the pressure is being put, right, for the snake to move forward, right? And as you can see, because there are so many loops and there are so many pressure points which allows the snake to move forward or pushes the snake forward, this is the reason why snake can move faster than the fish, right? Fish on the other hand just have a single curve, but over here you can see, because of the presence of so many loops in the body of the snake, the speed of the snake is quite high, right? And this is how we see that how the different animals move from one place to the other. In this particular session, we saw that in human beings, the bones and muscles coordinated with each other to move or to cause the movement, whereas in different animals, there were only the presence of muscles which allow the forward movement, whereas in other animals there were bones as well as there were muscles. In the animals like snake, there were bones and muscles but no limbs, right? So this helps us to understand the variety of movements that we see in the animal kingdom. Now let's move on and answer some questions.